Hello and welcome to the Airline Weekly Lounge. I'm Gordon Smith. While Jay and I are away for the holidays, we're bringing you two special episodes with extended interviews from our recent Skift Aviation Forum held in Fort Worth, Texas. In this second program, I'm in conversation with aviation legend David Neeleman. In this fast-paced onstage interview, Neeleman and I cover everything from the health of the US airline industry to his controversial views on sustainable aviation fuels. Enjoy. David, welcome to the Skift Aviation Forum. How are you?
That was apropos. I'm leaving here to go to Atlanta to catch an Etihad flight to Abu Dhabi. So I get a lot to look forward to.
A little palate cleanser there.
Yes.
It feels like ancient history now, but the government shutdown was pretty nasty, and it's not over yet. January 30th looks like a new deadline. You've seen a few shutdowns in your time. How did 2025 compare, and what's your message to those in DC?
Well, this was the worst one of all time. You know, it went on longer than it should have gone. I hope there was some lessons learned. You know, the sad thing for us is that we had a streak going of almost 50,000 flights with that one single cancellation. And then we walked into our chief operating officer and said, "You're going to have to cancel 32 flights over the next X number of days." He goes, "Nope, I'm not canceling them. I'm not going to do it because that's not what we do." And as it turned out, some people didn't, and now they're doing investigations and talking about a $75,000 fine for every violation. But, you know, it's just a shame, really. It's not necessary. Hopefully these guys will get it together and we'll learn some lessons. We have to.
Well, you speak about lessons. What are the lessons?
Well, the lessons are that people don't like shutdowns, and it affects people's lives. It affects the economy. It affects people's ability to earn a living. Air traffic controllers not being paid, going to work, TS agents. You know, ironically, we had less problem with the TS agents, and they make a heck of a lot less money than the air traffic controllers. They came to work and they didn't get paid, and you know, I hopefully cooler heads will prevail, and we'll be able to get something worked out so that we don't have to go through this again in January.
You spoke about your network there. One cancellation out of 50,000, or at least it was up until
March 30th until the shutdown. We had one cancellation. Maybe we shouldn't have canceled that one.
What was it? You must have been so frustrated.
You know, it's Mike Orders, who's our chief operating officer. You know, we embarked on this program last December, a year ago. You know, I just got the ops teams together and said, "Guys, this is ridiculous. We have smaller planes. We can turn them quicker. We don't fly in congested airspace. We have plenty of overhead bin space. We don't have to gate check bags. We need to be number one on time in the country. There's nothing else is acceptable." So the next 3 months we were 12, and then we started climbing. And then for the last 3 months, September, October, November, we're number one. So we intend to stay there because, you know, we don't have connections. The complexity of our operation is much, much less. So there's no excuse for us not to be the number one on-time airline. If we can not cancel your flight, get you there 90% on time, we can not lose your bag and give you a great experience.
Especially when you're a brand new competitor brand.
Yes.
That helps.
Well, you know, I keep telling our people that 50% of our customers on every single flight, on average, are brand new to Breeze. So, you know, you never
Still today, 2025? Still?
Yeah, because we're growing. We're at 42% growth. So it's just people come fly us, and then they come back and fly us again. But the best way to mature, the way you make money in this industry is to mature a market. Especially markets like we fly, where 83-85%.
Well, I think we've got a slide we can show to represent that. You've exited just 5 cities out of around 80 that you've launched.
Yeah.
83% of Q3 routes were exclusive to Breeze. What is the secret sauce between establishing whether a city, a destination is underserved, or whether it's been left in the bargain bin because it's frankly not very good?
It's trip cost. Allegiant there has been around for a long time. They've done, you know, a really good job, but you know, they decided to go bigger. They went to 200 seat maxes and then back to 190, and we're actually just keep going smaller. We started out with 130. We started out with more, but 137 seats, 12 first class. We're going to go to 136, 16 first class, and then we're now looking at going to 20 first class seats because Angela's here somewhere, so I'm supposed to say Ascent as well. Our feature marketing, Ascent and branding. It's Ascent first class. So it's all about trip cost. If I've got a 20% lower trip cost than those other guys, then what happens is I can fly more on Tuesday and Wednesday. I can, operating costs are really low because of fuel burn, but it just allows me to go to cities that other people can't go to. And what we find is that about 80% of our traffic is stimulated. If you're living in, Westchester County area of New York, and you have 2 nonstops a day that go to Vero Beach, people are just going down there and buying places. They're like, I used to have to go to Orlando and drive 2 hours, or I'd go to West Palm Beach and drive 2 hours. Now I can go to Vero. And hey, real estate's values in Florida are falling. Let me just go buy. And so a large percentage of people on our flights own second homes in the places where they fly. No different than Ryanair, when they started flying to Europe.
Until they don't, though, because as well as I do, Ryanair and many other ULCCs, they can come into a market when they get the incentives and pull out just as quickly as they came in.
Well,
to use your example, if you're buying that Florida beach house based on a breeze route, how much confidence have you got?
Well, I would put our pull-out rate up against anybody's. There's a slide on that, but we pull out less than anybody else because we have a lower trip cost. It takes less people on the airplane for us to make money than anybody else. Like you said, we pulled out of 5 cities out of 80. Probably 3 or 4 we'll go back into. But the timing wasn't right, and we've learned a lot. We've gotten so much better. I looked at our growth this summer over last summer on the newly launched schedule, and we grew in every single one of our cities. So it's not like, oh no, this one's not working terribly. We don't grow unless we're doing well, and it's people love flying Breeze.
Let's continue the growth discussion. You're going international as of next month. We had the devastating hurricane come through Jamaica. I know Montego Bay was one of your initial launch routes. Give us a progress update on the thinking there.
Well, it's I think we should ask the hotels, but the word we're getting is that they're making good progress in getting open. Obviously, we can't fly there if the hotels aren't open. So as long as they can get the hotels open, we'll be there.
You're a numbers man. How many international destinations do you think Breeze could reach in due course?
A lot. I mean, there's so many long, thin routes. We can fly from our cities. Some of them, obviously, not all the cities that we have customs. And that's like a problem with Provo, for example. But international is really important for us. And, it's interesting that Allegiant hasn't ever flown international because we do really well. Everybody does on Thursdays, Fridays, Sundays, and Mondays. Saturday's a little weaker, but we have a lower trip cost airplane, so we fly more on Saturdays. And then you have Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So being able to kind of go to international destinations, say like Cancun or to Montego Bay or to Punta Cana on a Saturday where I have all these inclusive resorts, turns Saturday, that's kind of not the greatest day, into one of our greatest days.
There you go.
So that's where international works so great. And so we focus more on areas where there's all-inclusive resorts where we can dump them off. They're coming from Providence, Rhode Island. It's freezing cold. Drop them off in Cancun. We'll be back next Saturday to pick you up. And then we have a Wednesday rotation we can use as well, so you can stay 3 or 4 days. So, international is important, and it's going to add a lot to us.
Speaking about freezing cold, you're speaking to a Scotsman. Could we ever see Breeze going transatlantic?
It's it seems like everything takes longer. With certifications and all that. Obviously, we'd have to have ETOPS to do that. And the plane has got good range, but it's more kind of Ireland, Scotland, British Isles kind of range from the Northeast. And I think there's probably some demand there, but it's not really high on our priority list today.
Got it. This might look like a conversation between David and I, but we want to hear from you as well. Get on the Skift app, the Q&A function there. Towards the end of the session, we'll try and take a couple of questions. David, you previously described Breeze as, quote, a technology company that happens to fly aeroplanes. To the uninitiated, that sounds a bit like Silicon Valley talk. What does it mean in practice?
When I started JetBlue, we're a customer service company that happens to fly airplanes.
Yeah.
And that was the hallmark of JetBlue when I started it. And even Scott Kirby lately said JetBlue was started with the customer in mind. And that's the difference. And from what you're seeing from the other ULCCs that are really struggling. But people don't want to smile in a boarding pass. They just want to do everything on their app, and they want to be able to do it. So, we don't have the most advanced app today. We're getting there. We have a great technology team, and obviously all this AI programming is helping tremendously. But we just want something that's really easy to use. And if you can just book yourself, drop your bag, scan yourself on the airplane, really the only person you ever see is our flight attendants, and they're amazing. So they do a great job. So
do you have a traditional call center? If I want to just pick up the phone and speak to someone,
we don't. No. We will. You text us, we'll get right back to you under 10 minutes. We'll resolve everything. Everybody works at home. It's just not these big, huge call centers full of people that are miserable. Everybody works at home, and then the little bit of a twist I've told everyone: look, if somebody really gets frustrated, ask for their cell phone and pick up the phone and call them.
Okay,
So there is
empowering.
There is an exit ramp for people who are frustrated, but hey, if you can never cancel a flight and you can get everybody there on time, you don't have that much to deal with. So that helps a lot when we're in these areas where we don't have congested airports.
Prevention better than cure.
You're listening to a special episode of the Airline Weekly Lounge. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue our discussion with David Neeleman right after the break. Hello and welcome back to the Airline Weekly Lounge. Let's continue now with part 2 of our onstage interview with David Neeleman, recorded on December 3rd at the Skift Aviation Forum in Fort Worth, Texas.
Breeze took flight in 2021, the same year as Avelo. We haven't had any meaningful attempts at breaking the US airline industry since then. Do you think the startup window has closed, or is there still room for brand new entrants?
I don't think there's a lot. It's the big three in Southwest Alaska. They've become so much better at what they do. When I started JetBlue, it was you get on an airplane, there was a live TV, a leather seat, a brand new airplane, the new plane smell. People were just kind of dazzled and blown away by it. You get on Delta and, free Wi-Fi, live TV, first class, which JetBlue is getting but doesn't have yet, new planes. So you got to do something completely different than everybody else. I mean, go into the teeth of those guys with their credit card revenue that they have, their international networks, their frequent flyer programs. I would never run an airline that's overlapping those guys, because they're basic economy where they can match the fares. It's made. You go over to Europe and Ryanair's still booming, and they say, "What's wrong with you with the low fare business in the United States?" And it's like Ryanair just stuck to what they were doing. They were going to tertiary and secondary airports. They didn't try and go be what they were, and they built a tremendous business. And Spirit obviously has really struggled, and same with Frontier.
I know a lot of people in the room are excited to hear from Joanna Garrity shortly.
Yeah,
I
was with Joanna last night. Joel Peterson, who's the longtime chairman of JetBlue, who replaced me at JetBlue, passed away this week. So we were at his wake together last night. So I got the 5 a.m. flight, and she got the 7 a.m. flight. So, but American, I had to spend $20 for the Wi-Fi, and I would have been free on Delta. So interesting there.
Yeah.
Seymour left yet? Yeah, good. Hopefully he's back running what's going on in there.
She's spoken about, Joanna, that is, about the pursuit of a level playing field in the US. Do you think the chips are loaded against new entrants and to the smaller players?
Yeah, I mean, to a great degree. But what do you do about it? I mean, you can't, I guess if there was legislation to do something with the credit card. Those things are so dang powerful. I've got a Delta SkyMiles in my wallet. because I live in Salt Lake and I've got kids in Dayton, Ohio, and I use my Delta miles to bring them home. So, it's I think obviously I have a great affection for JetBlue and I want them to do well, but I just don't know what you can do to stop the power of these airlines. They've really got to figure it out.
You mentioned Ryanair there. Last week, they scrapped their subscription program, Ryanair Prime, after just 8 months. Were you surprised that a company as successful as Ryanair in the low-cost space was able to make a strategic misstep like that?
Yeah, you got to give them credit for throwing things against the wall and see if they stick. So, obviously, it wasn't living up to their expectations, and I don't know all the details of it, but it's. But we were always trying new things. The cool thing about Breeze, the thing that is most amazing for me is that because the way that Lucas Johnson, our chief commercial officer, bundled everything, it's just not obnoxious. It's not ridiculous for customers. They don't feel like they're being nickel and dimed. They can buy nice, nicer, and nicest. And our NPS score, when we run over 90% on time, our NPS score is 80. It's just like clockwork. So people really love flying Breeze, and I know that airlines are like, oh, now what are we going to do to hurt those guys? Not 80% of our people are generated. I mean, if you can fly someone nonstop and they can go buy a house and go 10 times or 12 times a year, or they can go visit people. There's this great migration from the Carolinas to the Northeast. Then, people are just going to go more often, and it's all generated. It's generative. Almost every bit of it is.
Lots of focus on Breeze and JetBlue. Azul is another one of your babies. The restructuring process has been extensive.
Lickety split, yeah.
Yeah, give us an update on the restructuring at Azul.
Azul was going into COVID. It was one of the most profitable airlines in the world. Had TripAdvisor was the number one airline. We were paying about $60 million in interest a year. That ballooned to over $300 million a year because of exchange rate, the COVID debt we took on. And so it's been lickety split. I mean, everything's approved. Our exit hearings next week will be out, and stock will start trading again in as early as February. And so, yeah, it's been tough, but we've lowered that $300 million of interest payments down to about 70, 80. And so the company generates an enormous amount of cash, but it was all going to banks, and we had to restructure all that. Now we've got some shareholders that are going to do really well.
You're straight talking on a number of issues. Sustainable aviation fuel, I know, is one of your favorites. You previously described it.
What's funny about aviation fuel is that AI is going to pass us up.
Let me give you the
AI is passing up the airlines. It's like,
let me give you the quote first. You said sustainable aviation fuel was a complete waste of money.
Total.
Why do you believe that it's such a lousy solution?
Because it makes no sense. I mean, you basically generate so much carbon generating that stuff. And I was on stage with Willie Walsh, and he was saying, oh, it's going to, we make $20 billion as an industry, and it's going to raise our costs by $200 billion. And I just said, all of you in this audience are going to be out of bit. You're not going to have jobs. No one's going to have a job at this whole audience. And you don't really solve anything. It was just, we have such a small percentage of it. It was all folly. It was all window dressing. It was all just fake for the longest time. And now with AI passing up the airlines, we're falling behind on CO2 emissions.
So let's be really clear there. What has AI got to do with SAF? Because
you have so much power generation to generate all the AI stuff, that they're going to create so much CO2. So they're going to unless we all go nuclear.
AI is going to be the new bad guy.
Yeah, AI is the new bad guy. So go after AI. Don't go after us airlines.
I promised a few questions from the audience. Here's one. What is your outlook for further industry consolidation in 2026?
I think Spirit and Frontier need each other.
They need each other.
I think they do.
Yeah.
Barry Bithell may not say that, but I think they do. And I think Spirit's restructuring now is meaningful. They've been able to cut their pilot salaries. They've been able to get rid of a bunch of airplanes. They got some cash from AerCap and from I assume Pratt as well. So
you said they need each other. Are they going to get each other?
Well, they need the synergies, and they need to not stop competing. There's room for a ULCC in the U.S., but probably not two. And so if they get together, cost synergies, revenue synergies, I think they'll probably be okay.
A few more quick fires. Will 2026 be the year that Breeze IPOs?
I don't know. Probably not. Probably 2027.
Okay.
We've made tremendous progress, and our budget next year is profitable. We were profitable too of the 4 quarters of this year. It's got to solve January and September, but yeah, it's we're doing well. I mean, year over year, we're really pleased, and it all comes from running a great operation. So
all eyes on 2027. Lufthansa Group, IAG, Air France, KLM. Who is going to win the battle for TAP?
Yeah, I had it kind of sold to Lufthansa at one point in time. I kind of think that it would make more strategic sense for them. I don't think being that close to Madrid is a really good idea for the strategic of the company long term. I think it would drain Lisbon. So either probably Lufthansa or Air France, I would guess.
Got it. So just to clarify, not IAG.
Well, I just think the hubs are too close, and I think Lufthansa really needs a southern European
anchor point.
Anchor point, yeah.
Would you buy the A220-500 if it was offered to you?
I'm not really sure because I think it all depends on the price of the airplane. If Airbus is saying, look, we're going to put this little plug in here, now you're going to charge you a heck of a lot more. But they're not planning on a new engine, I don't think. So, because the engine guys are so worried about what they're doing today. So if you have a bigger, more expensive airplane that doesn't give that trip cost advantage that we love, then we're not really. We'll look at it, but we're not thinking it's essential for us.
Last one from the audience. Does Breeze have any plans to launch a co-branded credit card?
We have one. It's in my wallet.
There we go.
Alongside of my Delta SkyMiles card.
Which one do you use more?
I can't answer that question. But we have a great card. And the thing about our card is it's really incredible. Because we fly on these unique destinations, I was in Tampa the other day, and I was standing in line talking to our guests as they were getting on there, as they were checking in, and this guest was like, our daughter's in Charleston and she's in medical school, and today we're going to Myrtle Beach. And I said, do you have the credit card? And he said, no, we're going to get it. Because if you're just flying where everybody else flies, why do you need a credit card? But if you're flying where nobody else flies, then you really want the credit card. Because we just launched our new frequent flyer program that will be in effect in January.
Breezy Rewards.
Really excited. Yeah, Breezy Rewards. And it's really going to be great. And it will make the credit card even that more important. And it's becoming meaningful. We keep exceeding our goals every year that we have with Barclays. We just passed the goal for this year before, with a month and a half to go in the year. So yeah, people love the card. And as far as revenue per passenger, we're already approaching like Spirit and Frontier that they've had over 15 years.
I know you appreciate an on-time arrival. We're clean out of time. One final one. 2026 is looking ... Finish the sentence.
Pretty good. Yeah, if we can avoid another shutdown. But it's we're it's when you keep lapping all these markets that you've been in over 12 months and over 24 months, they just continue to mature because when you start a route, you have no repeat business. And then they start coming back and flying you again, and then it matures and does so much better. So, we're still adding 15 new airplanes next year, but as a percentage, it's going to be lower of routes that we're in 0 to 6 months is where you kind of lose your money. So, no, we're very encouraged and very optimistic.
Look forward to you joining us next year for a progress check. David, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that brings us to the end of this special episode of the Airline Weekly Lounge. If you're a Skift or Airline Weekly subscriber, check out our archive for more full-length insights from the Skift Aviation Forum. And if you'd like to learn more about our upcoming events, check out live.skift.com. Thanks as always to our producers Monica and Will, and wherever you are in the world, thanks for listening, happy holidays, and we'll catch you next time. Bye for now. Whether you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, please make sure to subscribe, rate us 5 stars, or leave us a positive review. This really helps us get the word out about the Airline Weekly Lounge, so we can continue to bring you this podcast every week, absolutely free of charge. And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Skift channel and hit the notification bell to find out whenever a new video drops.